What is the scariest, most terrifying thing that actually exists? Sudden adult death syndrome. I was like, this has to be fake since the name is like that. Then I saw a young hurler sport an island literally drop mid-match like someone stepped on his plug. I, as well as the stands full of people, watched that boy just die. Alien hand syndrome. Saw a documentary where a fella with this condition was trying to walk through a door, only his hand wouldn't let go of the door handle. No matter how hard he tried to walk away, it wouldn't let go. He has to resort to pulling at it with his other hand. Alien hand syndrome occurs with certain types of brain damage, and the two hemispheres of our brains become separate. Then, one hand starts acting at cross purposes. What freaked me out was that the alien hand this fella had was sentient and deliberate. It wasn't like a landed fish flopping about. It was being directed. Just think of it. One arm and one hand is not under your conscious control and can randomly wander off doing its own thing, or try and stop what you are doing. BRRRR. Dementia and Alzheimer's. When I was in middle school, an 60-something-year-old man from an Alzheimer's association came in to speak with us about the details of the disease. When a student asked what the hardest part about taking care of someone with the disease, he tearfully said, "I take care of my wife of 40 plus years who has Alzheimer's, and the hardest part is that she has no idea who I am anymore." A 13-year-old me was speechless, and from there I've been afraid of losing all of my memories and everything I know. Alzheimer's and dementia are unremittingly cruel to the family of the patient. Every day becomes more and more of a nightmare, and they are powerless to stop it. Fortunately, excellent research continues as to how our brains function. A brain aneurysm. At the risk of sounding like Archer, it is a silent killer, and can affect anyone regardless of age, gender, physical fitness, and diet. If you're predisposed to it and it happens, there's nothing you can do about it. My mother was a health nut. She walked 3 miles every morning, did yoga fanatically, ate well and everything. Picture of health at 50 years old. While at a luncheon she stood up, slurred, "My head hurts," and dropped dead from an aneurysm. No warning whatsoever. For me, it's being so painfully aware that one day I will die. It's honestly paralyzing at times. And it's even worse if you aren't religious spiritual. For them, once they are dead, that's it. There is no other side. It's a complete erasure of existence. Most people will be forgotten a generation or two after they die. The vastness of oceans and universe always scare the crap out of me. The fact that anything could be down there is terrifying to think. Our thalassophobia. The cartels. They gleefully inflict the worst suffering you can imagine, completely absent of ideological, political, or religious motive. Atomic weapons. If you've ever read anything on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, it would leave you frozen. The fact that bombs can somehow even be more devastating today is frightening. The uncanny ability that our minds have of deluding ourselves, often inadvertently, into believing things are just fine and that we can be content with the status quo. Somewhere, maybe hidden away in a locked lab or maybe undiscovered in a jungle, is a virus or bacteria that if it were unleashed it would end all life on Earth. Relax, the Petri dish I keep it in has a good cover on it, and it's really unlikely that anything will crack it, since I keep it in a high quality shoebox underneath my bed. Well, considering that we've found evidence of prehistoric supergiant predators in our ancient oceans, I imagine that somewhere on some ocean planet that makes Earth look like a marble, there must exist a creature so incredibly large, even the noise it makes would kill you. If the ocean planet was large enough that Earth looked like a marble in comparison, we would probably die just being on in it. A strangelet is a hypothetical particle that is composed of up, down, and strange quarks. For comparison, a proton is composed of 2 up quarks and a down quark, and a neutron is composed of an up quark and 2 down quarks. Don't let the word hypothetical fool you, either. Strangelets absolutely exist, but the good news is that they are thought to decay very, very quickly. Still, if one were to touch some part of the planet, we'd be utterly annihilated. See, due to the way that subatomic particles interact, large collections of strange matter are thought to be more stable than smaller ones. The bigger a given strange mass is, the hardier it is, so to speak. As such, All it would take to completely doom the earth is a strange lit the size of a helium atom. Because when baryonic matter, atoms made up of protons and neutrons, comes into contact with strange matter, it gets converted into strange matter. The chain reaction would reduce the planet, and everything on it, to a huge, hot, homogeneous strange star, and there would be absolutely nothing we could do about it. In other words, it might only be a matter of time before a single particle wipes us out. Wouldn't that be strange? TLDR. A particle the size of a helium atom could end life as we know it at any second. I prefer to think of the apocalypses I know will happen, like the sun going nova, or the heat death of the universe. Those are always nice. The deep ocean pretty much scares the living crap out of me. I shudder at the thought of being stuck on a damaged submarine down there or something. You don't know there is an afterlife in an absolute sense, but after understanding how consciousness probably exists as a product of chemical and electrical work, and the inability for most reasons people do believe to hold up under scientific scrutiny, it leaves me in great doubt. Look at the James Randi Foundation. For decades there sat quite a large sum of money for anybody that could demonstrate paranormal activity under controlled scientific observation. Everyone who attempted their thing signed a form stating that the conditions would not hamper their ability, yet not a soul was able to prove anything. Countless charlatans were exposed during the testing. All the ghost stories, near-death experiences, etc., and yet not a single one has been able to be observed in a controlled setting to eliminate things like cognitive bias or episodes of psychosis. Yes, an absence of evidence is not as a rule the evidence of absence. But when a claim fails to prove itself empirically for the span of human history, it's not unreasonable to decide to stop banging your head against the wall and accept the hard reality that when I die, I cease to exist as a conscious entity. Nobody ever suggests that metabolic processes continue on after their chemical origins cease to work, but with consciousness, because it is sufficiently harder to understand from a naturalist perspective, but not impossible, and the concept of an afterlife. People have a field day with anything and everything being confirms what they want to believe. I saw someone say that their dad visited him in the form of a fox, and that was his confirmation. Turns out that he lived in a place that had foxes as a natural part of the environment. It was just a fox, and for all my passion burning to believe in an afterlife, I cannot toss aside my standard for how I validate a posit as a fact for this one subject. Obviously I just ranted and I'm sorry. Nobody is an idiot if they glean comfort from the idea of an afterlife. I just cannot justify the belief with the same standard I justify any other suggestion. Spiders. Small ones. Big ones. Hairy ones. Fat body skinny leg ones. Huge dessert held by some soldier ones. Fake ones. Movie ones. That I eat while I sleep ones. Sneak up on me while I'm sitting on the couch watching a movie ones. Yard work ones. Spiders suck. A stroke. My fiancée had one day after her 30th birthday. Spent 6 months in recovery. Never smoked. No drugs. Total health, but she tore her left vertebral artery and a week later collapsed. Aside from some left side of her face numbness, she made a full recovery. I spent 8 months in the hospital with her holding her hand. Prions are pretty dang terrifying. One little protein gets into your system and melts your brain. Not a thing you can do about it. What's that? You just won't ingest one? Oh, well, they can also spontaneously form by misfolding a normal protein. I guess I should stop eating these prion chips then. They're tasty though. Alzheimer's. It's such a terrifying and cruel disease, not just for you, but for people around you. I fear having to go through it one day and slowly losing who I am as a person. Not being sure where or when I am. Freaking terrifying. Crocodiles. Gee, I don't know, Cyril. Maybe deep down I'm afraid of any apex predator that lived through the KT extinction. Physically unchanged for 100 million years. Because it's the perfect killing machine. A half-ton of cold-blooded fury. The bite force of 20,000 newtons. And stomach acid so strong it can dissolve bones and hoofs. I thought he first said that to Lana. Groups of people that show great zeal and passion for enforcing their lifestyle choices on everyone else. I mean, what the heck? Leave me alone. Absolute certainty is the single most destructive force in human history. When you have even just one man who is utterly sure in his convictions, he will stop at nothing to shape the world to suit what he thinks is the ideal world. Your own child can become terminally ill and die while you watch helplessly. I lost my oldest daughter to trisomy 18 at 6 days old. It was heck, but I was so lucky to know and love her. I have 2 healthy daughters and a great husband and kitties. False vacuum collapse. There is a theory that says the fundamental forces of the universe essentially came about as part of a sort of phase transition in space-time. There is nothing that says the phase we are in now is the ground state, or even a tremendously stable state. All it would take is one small region to collapse to a lower energy state and the change would spread at light speed, undoing the bonds that hold matter together in a cataclysmic explosion of literally universal scale. The scary thing is that it could have already happened and be heading this way now, and heralded because nothing can go faster than light. Time. The fact that we will never be any younger and will die at one point freaks me out. Knowing that after I'm done with high school I will someday be like my parents who seemed like they lived in a completely different world than what we live in now, and how that will change when I am their age. It sucks. Believe it or not, high school will be a very distant memory and will have mattered almost not at all. Since I deal with it daily, I have to say Alzheimer's dementia. To lose who you are and lose your memories, being scared and confused and paranoid and not understanding why, not recognizing the person you've been married to for 60 years and thinking everyone is trying to kill you, even the artists on the radio. I care for an elder during the day and now visit my husband's grandfather at night. It's basically a 14-hour day of dealing with it and I feel bad. I don't want to disappoint Papa by not visiting, but I'm mentally and emotionally exhausted when I get home and really don't want to spend 4+ hours at the hospital while he shouts that we're all trying to kill him. It's heartbreaking. 2 possibilities exist. Either we are alone in the universe or we are not. Both are equally terrifying. Arthur C. Clarke. I remember one Wednesday afternoon I fell asleep watching TV and woke up in the middle of a Ripley's Believe It or Not episode. In this episode, they showed a man who had some sort of disease. I don't know what it was or how he ended up this way, but they had to take out most of his face. He just had a big, gaping hole where his eyes and nose were supposed to be. Scared the ever-living crap out of me. They gave him like a mask or something to put over his face hole and make it look like he had a face. I felt so sorry for him and couldn't sleep at night wondering what caused it. Could it happen to me? Then, to top it all off, they finished the episode with a beheaded chicken that kept on living without a head. So, yeah, that Ripley's episode. That's my answer. Due to the fact that I recently have spotted signs of it and am waiting to get tested. Penile cancer. It's super rare but can result in having to have the affected area removed entirely. Don't know if that freaks everyone else out or if it is just the chance that I may have it. There's probably plenty, but I'll go with something different. Sleep paralysis. For some reason your brain just decides to frick up and paralyzes you when you wake up, and then to just frick you up even more makes you hallucinate the scariest crap you can think of too. I get this regularly and regardless of whatever else is out there, it's the most terrifying thing I've personally experienced. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.